I think if we stayed together, I think we for sure would have got one more championship. People say 2 or 3.
I say 2, man.
It's very hard to go back to back, but I think we had a really good group.
From your point of view, why do you think that team was broken up?
I tweeted it because I was like, I'm coming back. Yeah. And then my agent was like, man, they don't have the offer. You got to delete this tweet. And I was like, for real? I was heartbroken.
I thought maybe it was because you thought you couldn't win again there after some moves were made.
No.
And then that you were going to get more of your money in Philly than you would in LA.
You think that you could have had the chance to transition into a star?
I wouldn't say a star, but I could have been a super role player.
But like, how did you just be like, you know what? This is the final time. I'm giving it up.
We've been doing things for 20-something years. I'm used to having a routine, stability, and I'm like, I'm tired of sitting around waiting for a call, man.
Welcome to the greatest podcast ever, Above the Rim with Dwight Howard, and you are in for a special guest. But guess what? You know what we don't do on this show? We don't hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil. Before we start everything, you guys, I want you guys to hit the subscribe button down at the bottom right there. Leave a comment, a like, comment, whatever you want. Let us know who you want on the show next. But today, we got a special guest all the way. Now, we got a special guest today, man. Danny Green is in the building. Give it up for Danny Green, y'all. Woo!
Yeah, man.
We want to congratulate him on his retirement.
Yeah.
Congrats.
From how many years?
Technically 15, but I tell people 14.
15 years. We got a special gift for him and you guys watching. Man. Give me 1 second.
Oh, man. Yeah. Nah, it's been a true honor, man, to be on the show, bro. You done my show so many times. You jumped in the pod for me, so it's only right, I show love, man.
Woo!
You're great too, man. Legend. So
we gotta.
I know you've been giving out some funny gifts before, man. I subscribe, bro. I tune in. I see what's going on.
Yeah.
So I know you've been BSing with people. So I know you're not about to get me with some BS, bro.
Wow. No, man. You about retirement. Happy retirement.
All right.
Golly, man. So
I know it's gonna be. Not gonna get me, bro.
That's the first time.
Not gonna get me, bro.
I'm not going. Oh,
He's a real one.
Listen, I'm a student
He's a
of the
real
game.
one. Okay.
I'm a student of the podcast game too, so I've been seeing what's going on, bro. You're not gonna get me, bro.
I didn't get.
It's all good though.
That's crazy.
I appreciate the love.
That's
though,
crazy. I had to try to switch it up, and it didn't work.
Nah, I'm a student of the podcast game.
That's
I study my
crazy.
I study my opponents.
Okay.
I study my competition. I study my friends and family. I watch and support, of course, but I study it all, man. And it's dope what y'all been doing on the show. So I appreciate being a part of the show.
Oh, thank you, man. No, thank you for.
And congrats on Dancing with the Stars, doing your thing, man. You lost a lot of weight. You're in great shape, bro.
I have lost weight. I'm skinny as hell right now from just dancing.
Yeah, it's crazy.
I'm on my Usher.
You popping and locking 3 hours straight.
It's okay, girl. But no, we got Danny Green in the building, 3-time NBA champion, NBA All-Defensive Second Team, NCAA champ, Slovenian Cup champ.
You a champion of that?
You a champion.
I don't know if that's true. Slovenia, I played there for a little bit. It was during the lockout, but I came back.
You still got the chip.
Yeah, they might have won that one without me.
I used to tell people every time, anytime Danny Green is on your team, you gonna win. You gonna win a chip.
That's why you came to Philly. That's what you told people anyway.
Yes, that's why we was in Philly. We're gonna get into that later, but. No, seriously, you had a amazing championship career, and a lot of people don't give you the credit and the flowers that you deserve for your illustrious career, but you deserve it, man.
I appreciate it, man. And said you showed a lot of love. The pod showed a lot of love, and when the announcement came out, I was overwhelmed with a lot of love from everyone, man. It was dope. And I appreciate my friends and family who, encourage me to do it the right way. Because, at heart, I'm naturally just a spur. Like, we don't really celebrate ourselves. We don't care that we just try to just hide and disappear in the woods like Timmy does, So they're like, no, man, you got to let people celebrate you. You got to put out a video. I was just going to do it on the pod. But my podcast, shout out to James. He did a great job with the video. And we're releasing the pod. Harrison Sanford, my co-host. So yeah, it was dope. They did a great job. And everybody showed so much love, man. It was overwhelming. And said people forget. They forget how special you are. They forget, that I was a decent player. And I'm sure in about 5 or 10 years, they're going to forget that I was a player at all. And I do media. They're going to know me as a media head more so than a player. Steven Jackson, Matt Barnes, those guys. Great players, but now the young generation only know them as the media heads. Yeah. Charles Barkley, Shaq, great players, but they only know them as media heads. So yeah, it was dope to see the love and get all the flowers from everybody on that day. And, I tried not to get too emotional. I didn't. Luckily, I was in a good spot. I didn't plan it this way, but I was inside the prisons doing a prison visit when I announced it. So I announced it that morning, and then not even an hour later, I was going into the prison. So I do something with a group called Between the Lines. Shout out to Lamont Stapleton, Tory, Darren Duncan. They put it together, and we visit prisons all throughout California. We go in and try to give them a day of freedom. You can't have phones in there, so I had to put my phone up. I got some love, but I put my phone up, so I wasn't able to get too. I got a little emotional at first, but I get too emotional, and I was able to leave my phone alone for some hours and spend some time with the guys on the inside. So it was dope.
So, just talk about that because instead of, like you said, you were spur at heart. So instead of celebrating yourself in that moment, you went to actually celebrate others, give to others and give back and give those guys in prison that opportunity to just, get away or
feel part of society.
So, you've been like that your whole career. You've been that role player, and now you have just given up basketball itself. Yeah. Get into that decision. How did it feel? Because I know I'm as a player myself.
It's not an easy decision.
Yeah, I've been struggling with saying I want to retire. I'm giving it up. But how did you just be like, you know what? This is the final time. I'm giving it up.
It took some time. I fought it for as long as I could. I had the injury. I had went through surgery, rehab, and I made sure that, not just prove to everybody else, but to myself that I could be there and do it. And I knew that I could do it. And I've seen myself, overcome those challenges and hoop with some of those people. And I felt like, I really belong. A lot of politics came into play. And I still felt like I could help a team. And it's not about that at that point.
Yeah.
But for me, it took some time to process it. I can't take credit for, who I've become. A lot of people around me have taken a huge sacrifice and me becoming that. My family and friends, my dad has instilled in me in community. Pop, of course, being in San Antonio, that's what makes me give back. And all of the places that I've played. But when it came down to making the decision, it was, part of, I wouldn't say, you don't want to feel like you're quitting, but part of the mind and the body. Your body's starting to feel certain aches and ailments. I started getting a couple strains trying to hoop. And I felt like I was overextending myself. And it's just part of me with the pride. I don't want to have to overextend myself, not just in a physical way, but in a media way. In today's world, it's like, we don't believe it unless we see it. And we got to see it on Instagram. We got to see it on social. And I'm not the one to promote myself via social media like that, which is going to be new space for me because in media, you kind of have to do that too.
You have to do that,
so it was a tough place to try to find the balance. I got to show my workouts. I got to show that I'm in shape. I used to just show up and, show you that I could hoop. And I think I did that with some groups that I worked out with. But, I went to a couple workouts with different teams. And after some of the workouts went really well, one workout didn't some of the breakdowns of the body, like little strains, I was just like, after this one workout, I was like, if I'm not with a team or in training camp, I'm not going to be sitting around for a call. And we've been doing things for 20-something years. I'm used to having a routine, stability. And I'm like, I'm tired of sitting around waiting for a call, man. I even considered going overseas. Shout out to Pat Bev. I got a chance. I thought about it, but bringing the family, my little one's young, bringing my family just to
play,
just for my one to play, so I could find a good job here and still, not have them travel the world. We've been moving last 5 or 6 years, like 5 or 6 different cities.
That's a lot.
It's a toll,
man.
It's a toll.
It's a lot on your body, then your kids, your family, and you don't want to have them continue to move back and forth, just so you could play. So I definitely understand.
So a lot came into decision, and ultimately I was just like, man, it's time. I gave it my best shot. I gave it a little time, some thought into it, but I was like, I need some stability. I'm gonna go, and I was like, I'm gonna enjoy this retirement from basketball, give it some time, but ultimately go into the next field and hopefully have a stable job with, maybe I said before I would never coach, but I might try it once. But getting into the media game, which I've been doing, I'm preparing myself for that the last couple of years, and be stable in that, and hopefully take on that challenge and build myself up to be a really good analyst.
So you would rather be all totally sold out with the media than do the coaching?
I think it's
and
less
stuff
stressful,
like that?
man.
Yeah.
I love the game. We all love the game, right? I'm passionate about it. But coaching, you have to have a real passion for it. It's stressful. I see these coaches, they're losing their hair. It's going gray.
Yeah.
They're aging very fast. Look like the president, after 4 years term, they just age crazy. So for me,
they put so much energy in that coaching
and you're
stuff,
traveling so many hours. I want to take this time to be with the family even more and have less stress on the mind and body. So, I think doing the media stuff will be less stressful than coaching for me.
So you was one of the pioneers of this podcast.
The podcast thing, I would say I wasn't the first, but I was early. I was early in it. 6 years for me inside the green room with Danny Green. Read, rate, subscribe, review. Harrison. He came. I can't take credit. He came to me with it. This was right before I left San Antonio in 2018. So we just said 6 years this past summer for us. Now everybody said it's a beautiful thing to see everybody have their platform, tell you what's going on in their mind, the decision making, what actually happened with their story. So I love it. Players having a voice and not only using it to talk about their experiences, but to shed light on other things, whether it's autism, sickle cell, or things between the lines with the prisons. Anything that they're doing, they're giving a voice to our community. People of color, or even other things that they're passionate about. So it's a beautiful thing to see players having the power in the game, but also off the court in their voice, and be able to use that for good, and make our league a better league, our country a better country.
What made you want to start the green room? Was it you first, or was it like how did that go?
Like I said, I can't take credit for it because in San Antonio they don't encourage any media thing. So when it started, the idea of it started right before the trade happened to Toronto, and I said my co-host Harrison Sanford, give him all the credit, shout out to him. He was like, "Yo, I think it'd be dope because I know after you're done playing, I know you went to school for this. I went to Chapel Hill, North Carolina, and I was a communications major." For this purpose, I did all 4 years because I had to. I wasn't good enough, but I did all 4 years, graduated, and that's ultimately what I wanted to do. I followed Stuart Scott, may he rest in peace, and he's one of my idols. And I was like, if I don't play basketball, this is something I want to do. He was like, "Yo, this is a perfect time to start getting your reps in," and he encouraged me. And then the trade happened, which made it easier for me to freely be more open to it. Because in San Antonio, I was a little nervous of doing a podcast in that organization, but it was his idea, and he brought it to me, and then. Kind of took off. And in Toronto, they showed us a lot of love. They gave us a studio. It was amazing. We came here to LA, gave us a studio, showed a lot of love. It was amazing. We all got to interview all my teammates. And in Philly, it was kind of COVID, so we kind of did it via Zoom. It wasn't much studio time. Everything was remote at that point. But we've been rocking for a long time, man. It's been special.
It's just amazing to see like your personality, because a lot of people couldn't see the other side of Danny from playing, because in San Antonio, was it like it wasn't allowed, or like how was that? You're a shell
of yourself. I just feel like the best way to describe it is not in a bad way. They get the best out of you. They put you in the best positions to be great, but ultimately they never make you feel comfortable in a sense to where you're always hungry and working hard, because they just want you to they want to get the best out of you.
Basketball.
Yes, they want you to focus only on basketball, and they feel the best way to get something the best out of you is to kind of, in a non-direct way, put the pressure on you to know that your spot is never safe, so that you're always every day earning your spot. You're earning your keep. You're earning your position. I never felt like I was here in the league, you know what I'm saying? Or like I always deserved the spot. I'm entitled to a spot, and I had to work for my starting position every day that I lace my shoes up.
Do you think that now it's kind of switched a little bit because of the social media and what that provides for players, and how that can help teams grow and fan bases and stuff?
It's a very different world. So everything has changed in the last 5 years. I go back to even when I was in the prisons, in that space, they're focusing more on rehabilitation than punishment. And that's because the mental health aspect of the world has been major in the last 5 years. You know what I'm saying? The world is a softer world, but it's better and more efficient, and it helps players be able to communicate with coaches and vice versa, and keep them in a good mental space, and be comfortable, and also express what they're going through. It's not an easy game. It's not an easy life. Obviously, there's a lot of perks, but there's a lot of sacrifices, and there's a lot of pressures, and a lot of people go through different emotions. Some depression, go crazy, but you need a healthy foundation or, outlet and escape to talk to people, to share your expressions, your feelings, to be able to, stay sane. So yeah, the world is a lot different. Social media is a lot different, but, so the world is softer because of those things, but I think it makes it better to where, there's a lot less stress in these fields where, there's so much added pressure and where guys can freely speak, their feelings, their minds, and not be judged for it.
Yeah. I think when we came in back in I came in 04.
Yeah, you've been doing it for a long time, bro.
When we came in, we couldn't really express our opinions, our emotions, or our feelings like the players and everyone can now.
Yeah.
Can you talk about one, that part, and then you mentioned it earlier, the sacrifices that us as players have to make in order to be top players in this league, or even just role players, the sacrifices that you have to make as far as your family, time, friends, all those different things that we
come
have
into
to
play.
Yeah.
We all say now, we joke around, we were born 5 years or 10 years too soon. Because obviously you're getting paid so much more money now. We ultimately paved the way for these guys to get bigger contracts. But I'm blessed and lucky to be at the time that I came into the league. I got to play with some of the old school guys from the late 90s, early 2000s. And then I also got to play with the younger generation, and see both sides of it. Coming in, even as a man, you just weren't supposed to express your feelings.
Yeah.
You looked at it as soft.
Yeah.
That's just the background we come from. Expressing yourself is considered soft. You just suck it up, do what you're told to do, and go about your business, do your work. Bottling up is not a good thing, but I'm glad that it's changed for guys to be able to express freely. But yeah, that dynamic of it changing. The second part of the question was being a role player and sacrifices. It's a lot of checking yourself and your ego and dealing with other egos and and how to manage other egos in the locker room. So being a winning player, being a role player, it means you have to be a locker room guy. And you have to be able to not only focus on yourself, but be that outlet for your teammates, people. The guys who are superstars that, make things easier for them and how they can relate to you or relate to other players, to coaching staff. So it's a lot of juggling, a lot of different things. Your friends and family, time with them. You got to make them understand, I have to do this and this. I don't have time for Thanksgiving, Christmas. I don't have the money to give everybody. I can't say yes to everyone. You're not the only person asking, even though they think, I'm your cousin, your brother. Yeah, I understand you are family, but you're not the only and the first person asking for things. I still take care of or look out for people that I was in college with, people that I went to high school with. There's a lot of asks that are happening. And of course, us with big hearts, we want to make it because they want to live through us. We want to give. We want them to be able to experience it too. But a lot of times you'll put yourself in a position where you're overextending yourself, and then that adds more pressure. So you got to sacrifice. So it's a lot of time, family time. I started late with kids, so I'm lucky to have the time now. But I couldn't imagine having kids during that. It's hard, man. You miss so much, and you sacrifice time of being with them just to be able to provide certain things that they have an easier life and more resources. But I had that conversation with my friends, this past week. It's like, how do you find the balance, which I'm asking you to give them everything you want them to have that you didn't have, but also help them grow up the same way you did, because ultimately you're kind of crippling them from the real world.
Yeah, so it's
by
tough.
babying
You want
them.
to try to balance. You want to try to balance out the superficial stuff or the material things. But it's different because you don't want them to feel left out or they're not loved because they're not getting certain things. But you also want to show them hey, you have to work for this. If not, you're going to grow up and think that everything is going to be given to you. And it's a hard balance, especially in the positions that we're in, because they're like, why can't I have it? You have all of this stuff. And so that's the most difficult thing, but it's really just teaching them value. We have these things because we've worked extremely hard and we valued ourselves enough to where now we can afford the things that we're handed to because are given because we work for it. So it's a balance. It's a balance.
You gotta at times give them tough love when you can, make them figure it out, make them earn it, make them work for it. But the same breath, it's like you wanna spoil them. But
you want to spoil them so
just-
much,
yeah.
but then it's like, I can't spoil you because once you get
Nah,
out
you
here to the
gotta learn.
real world, nobody's going to spoil you. You have to learn how to do it or get everything on your own by working for it. That's the best way. Then you value it.
yeah,
Then it's not getting spoiled.
You talked about like towards the end, constantly moving.
Yeah.
And I know he talked about, you know, when you get non-guarantees and stuff like that.
Man.
At the later years, you talk about thinking about where you're gonna move, what schools to put your kids in, etc.
Mm-hmm.
man, that weighs a lot on a lot of people. And I'm trying to think of how many cities it was, but since San Antonio, I feel like I moved in there every year. After I left San Antonio in 2018, and that was 6 years ago. So
Dang.
San Antonio to Toronto, Toronto to LA, LA to Philly. And even when I was in Philly, I was a free agent. I had to move each year that I was there. I was there for two. I ended up doing 3 years, but with the
Yeah,
2 years I was there, I was
in
in Northern
between
Liberties, and I moved to
seasons.
downtown. And then from Philly, got traded to Memphis to Cleveland. And then I was back in Philly. So
Yeah, that's a very
man, and
difficult
then
part.
imagine if I was thinking about going overseas, and I was like, now I got to pack up and bring. I was like, yeah, is it worth it for me just to get my last year or two of just hooping? And I'm like, and it's a grind over there. you know? And I love
It's
the
a
game, and I wanted to
different type
hoop.
of grind.
It's a different type of grind, and I'm like, do I really want to put my family through that?
So I'm gonna ask you about two things. The Cleveland experience.
Mhm.
I know you said something before, like you were in a weird space or something. of that nature.
Yeah, it wasn't a weird space. I just felt my experience wasn't the way I expected it to be my second time around.
Okay.
I mean, even the
was
first
like
time
a
around,
full
I was a
circle
rookie.
moment.
It was a full circle moment. My rookie year, you just don't know what to expect when you're in there. So
Yeah.
you come in, you're like, I'm hooping in practice. Like, I feel like I belong. Like, I might get some minutes. You come to the arena, they tell
won't
you
get
you
no-
need a sport coat. You're like, what the hell? What do you mean? I'm inactive. I didn't know what that even meant. Like, you're inactive today. I'm like, okay, what the hell does that mean? I'm like, ESPN game, Bron, Shaq, you know, my teammates. I'm like, might be seen on TV today. You know what I'm saying? I come to the arena, they're like, yeah, you're inactive. I'm like, heartbreaking, bro. We find out you got to get a sport coat. You're in a silent. You're not even dressing up. I'm like,
Like, what
oh,
you mean? I'm
shit.
active.
Like,
as
what?
hell. You like, I'm active.
I'm like, bro, what? So that that is heartbreaking. You don't know what to expect. Then after that, my second time around coming back, I was bought out. I was traded to Houston. I was bought out by Houston, and then I had decisions to make. I had a couple options of what teams wanted me to be a part of their group before playoff rosters were set. LA was one of them. I talked to RP. I didn't get a chance to talk to Darvin Ham on the line. Cleveland was really pushing to make it happen. And I think there was a couple other teams, but Cleveland was the team that made the most sense and that were the most aggressive in interest. And my agent's like, yo, if they love you, it's an easy marriage to me. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah,
make
'cause you
this
play,
happen.
yeah.
And I'm like, I want to kind of weigh the options and see. And like, whatever we need to get this done. And I'm looking at the roster, and I'm like, they're a good team. They're very young. They do need a vet, and they're going to be in the playoffs. Lakers at the time weren't sure if they were going to be in the playoffs. Like, they had to climb out of a hole
West,
to get in
yeah.
the playoffs. They were in the playing games. And I'm like, this team's a for sure playoff team, and they could use me. They don't have much shooting. So I'm like, if I go here, I could easily play and help. The reason why I said it was a weird space is because when I got there, the communication was very gloomy. It wasn't very clear. You know, they come in, they tell you these things. I'm like, okay, when I'm there, mind you, the time that I did catch COVID for a short, brief moment, but I'm there. I wasn't sure when I was playing, if I was playing, they're gonna put me in the rotation or not. Get reps with the first group. Really didn't get an opportunity till game 2 of the playoffs, and it was like, yo, I'm gonna need you at this point. And I'm like, I'm playing with a group of guys that I haven't got a chance to get repetition with. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We won game 2 against the Knicks, but it was like, yo, if we actually been doing this for some time, we could have been more successful. I thought we could have, I'm gonna say we'd have beat the Knicks. We'd have definitely made it a better series.
Yeah.
And that also, I think, really determined the last couple of years of my career. I didn't get many calls after that because I didn't really play that much. I didn't really show what I can do. So I feel like I got short end of the stick during that time. And then, the following year, that summer wasn't getting really many calls. Ended up with Philly again. I was in really good shape. Great shape, had a good training camp. It was a non-guaranteed deal, and I just ended up catching the short end of the stick again because when James got traded, they brought in more players than they sent out. So I was only non-guaranteed contract, so they let me go.
So I know we talked a lot about a lot of your years in the NBA. We need to go all the way back
Okay.
to how long have you been playing basketball?
I actually picked up a ball, my dad will say when I was like 2 at the Fisher Price room, but I actually started playing like Little League around 5 years old. I started early. My dad was a big fan. My family was. My grandmother, she was a Magic Johnson, LA fan.
That's tough. My
My dad was a Bulls fan. He liked Mike. I obviously loved Michael Jordan. My uncle was a San Antonio fan, Spurs fan, because he loved David Robinson. So I actually got a chance to play for teams that my family loved before I even got into the league.
That's tough.
Which was great. So yeah, my dad was a big fan. He put the ball in my hands at a very young age. Started playing at 5, and I took it seriously. But I wasn't highly recruited until like my senior year of high school, because I was decent, but I was a Long Island kid. So you're not from the city. You gotta New York. I'm in New York, but in Long Island you don't get a lot of respect in Long Island. You gotta actually work your way through the boroughs, play in Brooklyn, Queens, Bronx, and show that you're good enough to earn a name on the floor. And I wasn't really highly recruited till ABCD camp, my second summer going there. And that's when North Carolina started recruiting me. So
ABCD camp, you was co-MVP?
Yeah, I was.
Co-MVP?
Yeah, I forget. It might have been of the week, because I was one of those players. They grade you by like they point. It's like a point system of like if you have you're good blocks, rebounds, assists.
What year was that?
It was
2000.
So my first year was 2000, and I graduated 05 high school. So it was 04 summer, I want to say.
And it was with Monte Ellis.
Yeah, that was the last year you could go from straight from high school. Gerald Green and all of them, Andrew Bynum, they all went from high school. So my class was the last year you could jump from high school straight to the NBA.
Is Gerald Green your cousin?
Yeah, we found that out. We found that out in high school, actually.
What?
That's so funny.
How'd y'all find out?
You crazy,
We did the Round Ball Classic.
Cousin.
We did the Round Ball Classic in Chicago. That was I think it was Reebok at the time. I think it was Reebok, because Adidas was ABCD and we were Adidas, and everybody switched to Reebok after that. So then when my AAU team ended up being, I think, Reebok after. So the Round Ball Classic, it was either you're going to do Jordan Brand Classic or Round Ball Classic.
You couldn't do both.
You couldn't do both. You only do 2, so it was either McDonald's and one other one, because you couldn't do 3 of them.
You couldn't do 3 of it,
So I was lucky to be selected in McDonald's game, and then I had to choose one. So I obviously did the Round Ball Classic in Chicago. And we both had family, cousins in Chicago. And it was like, my dad and his dad were like, this is my cousin, my cousin too. So it was like, we were second cousins. We found out in high school during that weekend.
So he
in Chicago.
kept the bounce, because you had bounce in high school.
I had very little bounce.
Danny took the shoot.
I was a shooter.
Bounce.
He could shoot too, though.
Videos.
I had a couple
got drug tested
dunks. I had a couple
because he
dunks.
No, I'm talking about in college and high school
I
and
could dunk the
everything.
ball. I did. I could dunk the ball.
In
But I
college,
wasn't
he
jumping
was
like him.
dunking on folks.
I wasn't jumping like him.
Well,
But I could jump a
Gerald's
little
different.
bit. Gerald's
You ain't
very
seen me in
different.
college?
I did.
Gerald's
No,
in
I
a
did.
different
That's what I'm
stratosphere.
saying.
Gerald was one of the best
He was
dunkers of all.
dunking. Gerald went to the league and he stole all his hops, and he just kept his shooting.
No, I remember.
Gerald was unreal.
That's kind of like how the Vince Carter and Tracy
And
McGrady
T-Mac.
found out they was
That's what
cousins.
at a reunion or something like that. So it was kind of like that. It was like a Chicago thing.
I'm
But
telling
in
you,
college,
look at Danny Green
I
with
dunked
bounce
the ball,
right
but I
here.
wasn't jumping like Gerald.
Look at
But
this. Oh my God.
I played the 4 and the 5 and not the 5.
You
high
had
school.
like big man hops. Like, you do big man dunks. Raw, I'm dunking on everybody.
You gotta find a video. You gotta show the video of Danny dancing on the sideline.
Man, that's how I kind of made my name for myself in college. But yeah, I was playing. I played the 4 in college, 3 and the 4. So yeah, I had to be in the dunker. I had to learn how to dunk the ball.
That's
drop
crazy.
things. I wasn't.
He was the 4.
I played the 4
4 in college.
I played 2 through 4 in college. I played 2, 3, and 4, mostly 3 and 4. And even in San Antonio, they put me at when the game went to small ball. Because we come in the league, I came in as a 2. Now the league has changed so much, I became a small forward.
Yeah.
And then now, like toward the end of the league, I was playing 4.
Yeah,
Pick and pop 4, and I'm like, I'm 6'6", but they're not posting up as much.
Shit.
Hit that, Daddy.
It's funny because I wasn't the only one that I didn't start this. People thought like I started this. We actually did it as a group.
What is it?
Dancing with the
It was
Stars
just
College.
we had before the game they played music. We would dance on the sideline.
Hey.
But everybody, because I was the last person to be there, everybody else starting or they left. I was the last person on the sideline that would actually dance. Everybody was gone.
I gotta have a dance
started this because I only kept doing it because I didn't start till my senior year. So my senior year I didn't really dance.
You didn't have to do that.
So So is this like from playing basketball all these years? What is some of the like things that you're gonna miss from basketball itself?
you know, you said we all, now that we're in this position, we notice more of it. You appreciate things more when you don't have it.
Yeah.
And that could be anything. So just the camaraderie of being in the locker room, sharing a space with my guys, and growing up in college, I miss, like I said, being around campus all day, kicking it with them. In the league, being on the planes, traveling. Sometimes they gamble, you know, shoot the shit, talk a little trash, and you know, have some fun playing different games, being on the road. But just we were spoiled, man. Just being spoiled, eating the food on the planes, you know. When you're flying commercial and going through airports, they barely want to help you.
Yeah.
You know, we had the food all around you everywhere. Like when we first got into the league, they didn't have chefs all the time. Now it's like,
man,
you had to buy your own food.
They were saying we was divas
for wanting chefs on the plane, so and like
you
good
had
food for real.
You had to buy your own, so a lot of your money went toward food and clothes. Now, like, you get everything for free. They have chef before shoot around, after shoot around, before practice. You really don't have to spend any money on food. You could bring some of that food home.
Those are things that we was lobbying for, and it wasn't like we was
doing it. Like, I guess they, at the time, they probably took it as us wanting to be divas and us wanting to be like chauffeured all the time. But it's like, no, we're spending most of our time at the facility where we're practicing that and around each other.
We might as well have a chef here. So
when did that start happening? Like, when did they start cooking for you guys?
When I was in Orlando is when I was asking for these things, and like I would say a couple years.
I want to say around, because I remember when LaMarcus came to San Antonio, that's when we started getting, it started to become more of a thing. He came there like 2016-ish.
And it was
2015,
everybody
2016.
had trainers, chefs.
But I think by 2017, 2018, everybody started having them. And they started having chefs in there. Everybody eat breakfast in there, lunch, take it home. And then to game days, you would have it before and after. They had meals for you, meal preps. They started figuring out tests what your body needs more of. And I'm going to miss just the convenience of having that. You can go to dentists, doctors, and all those appointments easy right there. They set it up for you. But the food, for sure. Like, you could... People like wondered, how does this guy gain weight during the season? It's pretty easy, bro. Like, there's food
breakfast
everywhere.
In the morning.
And it's good.
Snacks, everything everywhere.
Oh my God, like, I think
and it's very good food.
With the Lakers, every morning they had the chefs come with these big waffles and pancakes and everybody is killing them. Oh, it's like the food. I haven't even retired, but from not playing for a while, I miss that, like, going to the hotels in the different cities and being able to go around the city and, you know, walk and eat. Like, you know, that's just, that was a lot of fun. I will say this. The bubble, people talk about how bad it was. I feel like our group, we had a good meal of like, we had good food in there. But even good food, you get kind of tired of, but we had a good mix of good food. Like, they did it right with the food. In the beginning, it kind of started off shaky, but we had a good mix of food, and that's one thing we did right in the bubble when our chefs came in.
Yeah, well, from players I've talked to, they weren't concerned about the food. They were just like, there's literally nothing to do. JaVale came on the podcast, and he was like, we were catching the same fish. It's like, we would throw them back, and everyone was holding the same exact fish.
He had his YouTube channel going. I jumped on the YouTube channel one time, but yeah, we're just trying to get content, trying to figure out, if you're in any space, it don't matter how nice it is, if you're there for 100 days, the wall's going to close.
So how do you stay sane? Because
I was just saging everything.
It's tough, man. I said, if we spent any more time in there, I don't know. 100 days is a lot, man, to be in there. It was a lot.
And it's nowhere to go. Like, nowhere. It's nothing to do.
It helped when our families came in. Yeah. So when the wives, girlfriends, and kids came in.
When were they allowed in?
2 months after.
Yeah.
The first 2 months we had nobody coming in, nobody there.
That's crazy.
So after that, they were there for like the last month or so. Yeah.
A lot of people came on and said that was the best chemistry team they played on, but you played on.
I will say, it's tough to say, but yes, we had a great, I want to say off the floor is the most fun I've had off the floor with that group. On the floor, we were good. We were very good too. I love the coaching staff and I love Frank to death, but we were just so deep that it was hard for guys to get rhythm sometimes because we would go 12, 13 deep.
We had so many guys. You know
what I'm saying? We were playing so many guys. It was hard. It was hard for Frank to make the decision. So that's what made it harder for us to have the best chemistry when everybody knows their rotation of minutes and is playing the same amount of minutes.
Yeah.
It's easier to have that on the floor, but off the floor, we all respected each other. We all, knew each other from other teams or and like from afar, respected each other's craft and wanted to play. Like I got a chance to play with Doe, even though he played in Boston. With some battles with certain guys, AD, KCP, AC, Avery Bradley, Dwight, all these guys that we looked up to or admired from afar, or idolized their game, or it was like, damn, one day I wish I could have played with this guy in his prime. I wish I could play with a prime Dwight or prime Rondo. Even Duds, Duds used to bust ass in college, bro.
Oh my God,
in college, he
Duds
used to
was
bust
so
ass. Duds was a
fire.
good player. So we had from 1 through 15, we had guys that were good, and we all respected each other, and it was real like we kicked it, man. We hung out. DeMarcus Cousins, he was there. Even later, JR and Deion Waiters came. But we had a group of guys, man, that just said
very special,
fun, and just enjoyed and respected each other so much, man. It was easy off the court for us to get on. And on the court, it just made it that easy too. But on the court, I was in San Antonio. We just was on it. Like we
I
just
was about to
playing.
say, like, how long was
Toronto,
that San Antonio team together?
We were there. We were together for 4 or 5 years. We were lucky enough to keep that group together. So that made it's hard to compete with that because it's hard to keep a group together for 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
And
Same
we had that group
system.
together for a while, and nobody had egos. Everybody just playing and hooping. Toronto, we only did 1 year together, but we had a good group on the court, and we had a good rhythm and good chemistry. But it's hard to outbeat San Antonio guys that were together for 4 or 5 years.
So after 2020, did you feel like if y'all stayed together for 2 more years, what do you feel?
You want to know why that game was broken up?
This is a topic that comes up all the time, man. I know the Lakers fans, and said you appreciate the things you had when you don't have them anymore. In the moment, I'm sure there was some critiques and criticisms. But once it was broken up, people were like, damn, why did we break that up? I think if we stayed together, I think we for sure would have got 1 more championship. People say 2 or 3.
I say 2,
It's
man.
very hard to go back to back, but I think we had a really good group, and we would have got 1 more.
You said you guys weren't even tired after you guys won these games. They were.
So we were so deep. We went in without. We didn't have Avery with us. We
Right, he
went
didn't
in
come with
missing
the
guys.
bubble.
We had so many guys, players that rotate. Even if it was injuries, we
JaVale
had guys that
and
step
Dwight
up.
JaVale
You know
and
what I'm
Dwight
saying?
split.
Me and
So,
JaVale
Yeah.
split minutes.
the deepest
and
team that I
AD.
feel like I was a part of.
So from your point of view, why do you think that team was broken up?
I saw JaVale said it was overthought. I think that's part of it. Ultimately, it started with not be able to pay guys fully first, right? I think Doe left because they couldn't pay him. I don't know who else got contracts. I think Alex Caruso. They had to pick between him or Talon Horton Tucker
that
to
was
pay
that
him.
situation. Yeah,
I think that's when it kind of crumbled when you let Dwight and JaVale go. Your defensive
Anchors.
front court,
Yeah.
and then your wing perimeter defense with KCP, Alex Caruso, and myself. I was traded because they wanted LeBron to take less off the ball.
yeah, with Schroeder. Yeah,
Which that never happens. LeBron is Bron. He's gonna do what he does, and he's gonna be on the ball, and he's great at what he does. And he's even still in year 22. He's still gonna be a very good point guard. But ultimately, they were trying to give him more of a rest, so they made that trade with me. And then Dwight came, so they lost more rim protection with that. Then they traded JaVale. I don't know what happened. Why did that? They lost more rim
that was
protection.
for nothing too.
But they were still pretty decent. But then when they traded for Russ, and you got another guy that did the same thing that Bron does, like you need more shooting. You let go of KCP, Kuz,
Yeah.
and then Trez, but you let go of your perimeter defense and your perimeter, front court. Now you rely on AD to do both. That's a lot on him.
That's a lot on
Mind
him.
you, when
Yeah,
his body, it goes through ups and downs
A lot.
sometimes.
Yeah.
LeBron's only getting older, so I think it was more of trying to get LeBron more rest. And then also they weren't able to pay some guys. They had to pick and choose who they wanted to pay.
Yeah.
And that's why I think the Alex Caruso, Talon Horton Tucker situation, because they were like, Talon's younger. You see a lot of potential in him. He could be that guy, which he was very good.
Yeah.
So I think they had to choose between, and they had to let Alex go to Chicago. They paid THT. KCP the same. I don't know if they could pay him more or not or whatever, but they wanted Russ.
I know you
I think
said
that part was overthinking. The Russ situation, I think, was overthinking the situation.
And I know you said earlier. I know you said earlier that some people had told you that Dwight had an offer. So we spoke about that.
Yeah.
Dwight,
I mean, we obviously shared a lot when we spoke about it, and I heard his side of the story. And things can get lost in translation, and I don't know who was handling the deal. It might have been the agent's fault, but from my understanding, and I'm glad he came to Philly with us because I needed him. I needed him there because I got old fast. I got really old fast. In Toronto, I was like a vet. In LA, it was like everybody was kind of some guys
same
older than me. I
age.
was a vet, but I wasn't a
Yeah,
super vet. When I got
yeah.
to Philly, I was the oldest motherfucker in the locker room, and I'm like, damn, it was just me and Dwight. If Dwight wasn't there, I would have been really old.
Yeah.
And I would have had to kind of police the locker room myself, but I had Tobias there, which helped too. But when he got there, and I was talking to Duds and everybody else, and they were like, no, they called him. He tweeted he was coming back, and they were like, yo, we offered him. And I'm like, He told me he didn't get the offer, but from other people on the other side, they told me that they did have an offer on the table.
And you said that you had to delete the tweet, right?
Yeah. I had to,
I mean, we know
I
you put it out there.
Yeah, I tweeted it because I was like, I'm coming back.
Yeah.
And then my agent was like, man, they don't have the offer. You got to delete this tweet. And I was like, for real? I was heartbroken.
I thought maybe it was because you thought you couldn't win again there after some moves were made.
No.
And then that you were going to get more of your money in Philly than you would in LA.
That wouldn't have been. I ain't want to leave.
Because
I'm like, let's run it back. We got a chance to win again. Like, no.
I said you realize how great something is when you lost.
Right. Yeah.
So I go back to the prisons between the lines. I go into these prisons, and we hoop with them, and they're pretty good conditions. You know, their gyms are great. Sometimes they're not the greatest conditions. So recently we had to play outside in 102-degree weather with the double rims.
102 degrees.
So when we get a gym again, we're like, oh my God, we got a gym. Hell yeah. You know, we're just excited to have a gym again. But when you play outside, man, at double rims, 102 degrees, you realize how special it is to have a gym. So same with the Lakers and Lakers fans. Like, man, you know, we really missed that perimeter defense. And we really missed Dwight and JaVale. And it's like, when we were there, a lot of y'all appreciated us, and shout out to those real fans. But a lot of them, you know, still to this day, you know, you should have made that shot. You should have did this. You should have did that. It's like, damn, can't you just say thank you?
No, the fans also, they don't realize, like, while we have what we have, they don't realize how great it is. Because I feel like you can go down the entire roster, maybe not including LeBron and AD, and every single one of those guys got you, Dwight, at one point, Kuzma got a ton. KCP got a ton, even in the finals when you guys are kicking ass and like winning games.
Markieff, like we had, you go down the line, everybody was very talented and good players, man.
So I want to ask, do you think that out of the 3 championship teams you played for, that, you know, the fan pressure in LA was by far like the most and had the biggest effect on you and also the entire team?
I saw it when Russ got there. That's when it really came to light to me. And, you know, you go to LA, when you make the decision to go there, you're like, I could play anywhere. You know what I'm saying? I've been playing through pressure. I'm ready for that stage. Like, no stage is gone till you get on that stage. I'm not saying that I was fearful of it or I was scared of it, but you feel the pressures of it. And you're just like, damn, it's a lot, man. There's a lot of heat on it. And you feel like you're not yourself. You're not playing like yourself. But I really saw it, like, and I knew I wasn't the only one that could feel it when I saw Russ get there. And I was like,
oh my God,
he's the most confident guy I've seen in this league, most aggressive. And if he went through it there, anybody could. I'm like, I'm not saying that it broke him, but I'm like, if this dynamic can change a player like him to where he might be second guessing himself.
He's from there.
I'm saying, like, then that shows you how big that magnifying glass is and how hard it is.
Do you think that pushes guys away, though? Do you think it
I think
players
so.
are human, and they're like, I saw how they treated Russ. I saw how they treated.
I went through it.
Yeah.
You went through it a couple times.
When I played here the first time.
I think that played a part into my decision when I went to Cleveland as well.
Second time, right?
Yeah. Because it's just a lot, man. It's a lot to do. And
they sent you death threats,
even though I didn't want to get traded, I would love to. I think over my time, I was like, I needed a fresh start. So I needed, a time away from it. And I was like, it's time. I did my year. It was cool. I think after another year, we'd have gotten more used to each other and we would have got even better. But I was okay with leaving because of how much it was on that organization.
That's crazy. And that sucks to hear that.
Yeah, we all had, I can understand that. And, him wanting to, because it's like an emotional decision, but you don't want to be in your emotions when you make that decision.
Try to make a sound business decision.
But it's like, dang, do you understand what I'm having to sacrifice and deal with, and I'm getting booed and hated on and death threats all because I'm making a decision. And they talking about because he missed that shot or we still won the championship.
I know.
We still won. I remember the year we went to the championship and played the Lakers, we lost the first game in the whole playoffs, the first game against Philly.
Yep.
One of the fans threw a clapper at me from the tunnel, almost hit me in the head because we lost the game. And I'm like, is it really that serious?
What you do?
What I do? I tried to get him.
Patrick Ewing came and grabbed me. He said, no, they got the cameras rolling. Don't do it right now. I said, all right, I got you. But now
you a shooter.
Yeah.
And the way everybody know that you are a shooter is because you got this. Where did this tattoo come from?
I gotta shout out my younger brother, man, because he started like his little shooting. I'm gonna say shooting sleeve, but he was the one to like really, I guess, put in the tattoo game of like acknowledging like different unique things when it comes to basketball and video games or other things. He has the unlimited cheat code on his arm.
On his arm?
Yeah, for unlimited ammo.
So
he does he plays the video games, Call of Duty, shit like that. I don't play video games much. But it came about for me. I hadn't gotten tattooed in a long time. And shout out to Steve Weeb, Steve Butcher, all those guys. When I won in Toronto, I was doing a tour all through Canada doing camps and stuff. And we ended up in Vancouver, and they're like, yo, there's some things that we would go best attributes of the city that the city can bring to you. And they were like, you know, I know you haven't got a tattoo in a while, but there's a really special, famous tattoo artist here. If you want to get a tattoo, and I'm like, damn, I haven't got a tattoo in like 10 years. I was like, I had to think of some things. It's like, you know, your brother got like a shooting sleeve. You might want to start with that.
Yeah.
So I had to come up with some ideas to do a shooting sleeve. And then, you know, I might be butchering his last name. Might be Steve Weeb. Met him, and then from there, man, it was hard to say no to the guy. He was so good at what he did.
Yeah.
And he did it on purpose, where he left space to where I would have to keep going back to getting more.
To get another tattoo.
He did the bullseye. He did the bullseye. He did like an eagle eye and like a scope. And he's like, yo, we got to finish that arm. And he's like, I know you big on Marvel characters and stuff like that. So I ended up getting like the marksman of all the Marvel characters. So I didn't get Deathstroke, Deadshot, Gambit on there, Green Arrow. I got a couple of them on there. So yeah, he ended up doing all of them.
That's
Bullseye
so far,
and Bullseye, yeah. So we ended up getting all those guys, and he ended up finishing it. And after that, you know, I started getting more because he was so good, and him and Steve Butcher, they were really good. But it came from my younger brother starting his little his shooting sleeve, and then I was like, you know, I got to get something that represents the shooters.
So is that why, so when you finish your shot, he got the little
I'll just let him know, you see the target, man. You might be dead. You might be dead. But it's Bullseye. Ultimately, Bullseye is one of the top marksmen in Marvel, and you know, obviously that represents him. And
so
all the characters.
He's like one of the most lethal.
Him, Deadshot. I said Gambit's very good. Like all those Green Arrow, like Bullseye doesn't really miss.
So I heard a story about you working with one of the shooters that I started working with. Lethal shooter.
Chris Matthews, yeah.
He's a GOAT.
So I worked with him way back. This was,
20s.
Yeah, he told me.
It was a while ago.
You were in Charlotte, right?
But when I was working with him, they would not allow me to shoot at all. So I was like, man, I really want to keep working with him because he's helping my shot. But it was like, I felt like it, at the time.
Shout out to Lethal Shooter, man.
Shout out to
one
Chris
of the
Matthews,
GOATs,
Lethal
man.
Shooter. If y'all want to learn how to shoot from the greatest shooter ever, Lethal Shooter will get your shot right there. He does not miss.
He's a very good shooting coach. And it's not even about the shoot, like him being the greatest shooter, but him just being a great shooting coach because he can read your body, read your energy, and sees where you thrive the best in. What's the best footwork for you? He's very good in details and repetition.
And where did you meet him? Like
when I got here to LA, you know, he was a fan of my game. He was working with AD. He reached out and he was like, "Yo, I feel like I help you." And you know, me trying to get used to playing with Bron and AD, not getting the ball in the same spots that I'm used to with playing. It's different when you're playing in Toronto or San Antonio. You got to learn getting from the post, getting from Bron when he's doing his thing, and different players. So he's like, "Yo, you got to figure out how to find your rhythm." He's like, "I'm watching tape." He does a ton of tape work.
Yes.
I was like, "Yo, this is the best way to keep your rhythm. Make sure you have your foot locked. Stay steady, staying low, get a good catch. Make sure you find the ball. Like just the small things.
Little mechanics,
even if you're a good shooter,
details,
he can make you great, or make you just come back to the fundamentals to make you more efficient. So he was huge in that aspect, man. And we've developed a bond and a friendship since then. He's done amazing things, and he's helped me a ton. And we kind of go back and forth with doing some great projects together whenever deemed necessary. Tap in to do some great work in the community as well.
Yeah, shout out to him. He just got put in the Hall of Fame this past weekend.
Yeah, he did. He got his own shoe. He's on 2K.
Yep.
He's been doing movies.
Yeah, he's been doing some good stuff.
And
where he's come from, and he's got an amazing story.
He got an amazing story, man. He almost passed away.
He
had issues when he was hooping.
He collapsed on the court,
that's why he's on the league,
which stopped him from playing in the league. And he just went on to train other people. And the first player that he trained was actually he's Kevin Seraphin. He played in Washington for the Wizards.
Yep.
And that's where I saw him shooting with him in some videos. And I was like, dang, if I get my shot like this, maybe they'll let me shoot threes in the game. That
People
was my whole
understand.
mindset.
Shooting is all confidence and courage too.
That's when you stop that stiff shoulder shot.
Yeah, for real. He
You got tough. People
got-
don't, they doubt you, but Dwight could definitely shoot the ball. It's just all about the coaching staff having confidence you to be able to do it. And he also said he builds confidence in you, the repetition to where you're not thinking about it as much. Some of these guys are changing their shots. Some of them look smoother, some look better. Some people don't need to change their shots. They just got to have the right mindset, man. And he's one of those guys that's great with that.
Didn't he speak to you during the NBA Finals? Like one night?
Yeah, we spoke a couple times. I mean, we spoke before that. We worked together before that, obviously before we got in the bubble. But we would tap in. He'd watch film. We send text messages. We talk on the phone. He'd be like, "Oh, yo, don't forget this. Don't remember this.
Yeah.
Or when this happens, be ready for this. Like it's going to come to you." When you talk about the shot, I kind of rushed that shot. I thought I didn't know how much time I had. So when I caught it, I bobbled it, dropped it, pick it up, and I had rushed it. I thought I had to shoot it.
Yeah.
If I would have known I had 3 seconds, I would have caught it, made sure, do the mechanics that he taught me. Make sure I get my shot. But it didn't happen that way. But everything happens for a reason, man.
Yeah,
We
you
went to
guys
the next
still
game.
won that.
You still won.
Yeah, no, it's
in
crazy.
In a 3-point shooting contest.
Man, I only been invited once too, which is
If
crazy.
it was Lethal, Steph, and Danny Green.
It's kind of like football, man. Any given Sunday, right? Some people have their days. Even with the best of the best, or the worst of the worst. If it's a professional team, anybody can win that game. But when it comes to sports, when it comes to shooting, Lethal does this. So I'm definitely not counting him out. And Steph is the greatest to ever do it. It said it all depends on the day.
Yeah.
It depends on whose day it is.
It's crazy.
You know what I'm saying?
Shooting with them
He's
damn
still-
prongs.
Depends
No,
on
the
the
thing is, bro,
rim.
I've been probably like 5 or 6 of those videos, like shooting that content with him, and I'm there. Like those are not BS. Those are real.
Nah, he
He'll
shoots
bring
it, man.
one ball. He'll bring 2 balls.
I will
and
give
those
the advantage to Steph because he's more of a set shooter than a jump shooter. And
Right.
jump shooters in the 3-point contest known to get fatigued and don't do well in it. So by the time we get to the end of it, we're tired. We had to do a second round, and so that's why when I did the 3-point contest, I actually changed my shot, and it looks crazy because I took the jump out of my shot. I shot
Because you had to
set shot.
shoot faster.
Really?
I shot a set shot, and you're trying to time it out, but I shot a set shot so that I didn't get tired, and I did well, but I didn't make it to the second round. So
Who won that?
that year was Joe Harris.
Joe
Harris was
Wow, he's a
cooking. He
sniper.
was shooting that thing.
He's a sniper.
So I wanted
too.
to ask you this because you talked about the Lakers and you talked about the Spurs. So when you was on, what was the culture like on the Raptors? And
It was great, man. So me and Kawhi, we came from being the young guys to being vets right away, because we were under Timmy, Tony, and Manu, and then when we got there, the guys was OG, Fred, Pascal, young. Kalo was the only other vet really. Valanciunas was there, but we ended up trading for Marc Gasol halfway through the year. We had Serge. Serge was another vet, but it was a lot of young guys and guys that had not been there or had not won it. So. It was cool though, but we had a good mix between older and younger and vets, and a good vibe where guys love to play with each other. And the city of Toronto, you know how the city is there.
yeah, so
crazy.
was that the first championship in Toronto?
First and only, yeah.
First
So how was
one.
the parade? Was that the best parade? out of-
Unbelievable, bro.
Probably was
Unbelievable.
crazy.
It's the whole
It
country.
was supposed to be an hour and a half. I think it ended up being like 4 or
4
5
hours?
hours. It was like
Damn.
That's
Probably-
amazing.
it might have been
people
6.
there.
It took a while. That's why Mark Gasol, he was really fake. By the time we went through the sun and drinking all the champagne, 5 hours later, you'll get faded crazy.
Yeah.
Like he was
Danny
gone.
Green was dancing
because he
again
ended
like
up
he
drinking
was in
more than he
college.
expected to because the parade went 3 times as long. So
Damn.
it was an unbelievable event, man. Because you're representing a country, 36 million people watching
That's
every
a
day.
lot.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And there's only one team in the whole country.
So you seen Kawhi kind of transition from
Being a young guy to being a
young
superstar,
guy, role
yeah.
player to superstar, leading the team. Like, how was that seeing his growth?
Unreal. Something you could never predict.
That's
or
what I
see
was gonna
coming.
ask. Because some people say they always seen it.
No, you couldn't see it coming. But I mind you, I was younger, so I wasn't that great of a gauge of talent. Now you can see certain guys just how they carry themselves. Like, all right, he's gonna be special.
Yeah.
Looking back, if I knew that knowledge, I would be like, all right, he could have been special. But I didn't see him becoming that type of offensive threat the way he had. Like, cause he had the tools. He had big hands, wide shoulders, big body. He knew he was gonna grow into himself. I knew he'd be a defensive monster. But I didn't think he'd develop his shot that greatly. We had Chip England there who worked with him a lot, and he changed the shot to where he was, non-shooter to shooting, 40% from three, and his mid-range was automatic. So when he started doing that, man, I said I never thought he'd become a really good shooter.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So he over-exceeded everyone's expectations, including mine, and I seen him since he got drafted.
That's
being
crazy. And me and Dwight was talking about role players that transitioned into the superstars, like Harden, Jimmy Butler, Kawhi, kind of.
Was James a role player?
He's
Six
six man
man
coming off the bench in OKC, so I guess it's somewhat of a role.
And he
Jimmy
said
for
he
sure
never-
was a role player.
It seemed like he was never a role player. He been so
He
good.
wasn't. He was a star when he first got in, but if you didn't know, you didn't see it till he got to
Yeah.
Houston.
Right. People didn't know.
Because he said
I
if he
didn't
never
see
would
it
have
till
went to Houston, he would
I didn't see it till
because
because when he got drafted high. He got drafted third. I thought he was really good, but I'm like, there's a lot of guys that could do what he does. Like, why is he so special? And somebody told me, he's a star. And then when I seen him at OKC, I'm like, all right, I see what you're talking about. And
He in
then
his
it only
own
just got
lane.
enhanced when he got to Houston.
In his own lane. They got stars.
Yeah,
They
listen.
have role players.
He was a game changer. They
And
had
then
to change
they
the
have
game for him.
systems.
Yeah.
He is
I'm
a
the
system.
system.
What are
I
you
know-
talking about?
I know it was that commercial, Jimmy Butler, from years ago when he was saying like he never thought he would become that.
Even when I saw him, I'm like, he looks like a hard-nosed player, but I didn't see it either at first. How they're high on him, and I'm like, the Bulls are high. I'm like, he looks good, but I'm like, why are they so high? I'm like, all right, because at the time, D Rose, they had a really good team, and I'm like, all right. And then you see it slowly but surely, him starting to come into his own and be that guy.
Yeah.
And then from there, they went to Minnesota, then he went to Philly, and then he was a force to be reckoned with.
And you one of the greatest shooters in NBA. You,
Decent. I was
you
decent.
like
man.
40,
I worked my way up.
43rd all
What are you?
time. What are you
43rd
talking
all
about?
time.
Yeah,
NBA
I put some years in, man. I was trying to get a couple more, but I put some years in.
That's a lot.
Do you ever
43
think-
all time?
Hell yeah. Do you ever think that you could have had the chance to transition into a star?
I wouldn't say a star, but I could have been a super role player.
Super role player. I never heard of that.
Like I could have been a watered down version of Clay, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Clay is very good at what he does. A lot of people think it's not easy just being that guy, being in that role.
Yeah.
But in certain systems, certain, organizations, given the opportunity, I'm not saying I would have been a good pick and roll player, but if I was actually in a system where I was ran plays for coming up pin downs and this and that, if I was doing what JJ, JJ was a special player too. I could have been somewhat to like JJ, but JJ is very good. Clay is very good. I feel like I could have been a watered down version of those two guys.
Yeah. That's
Speaking
crazy.
of Clay, he just left
Yeah, he did leave Golden State.
Golden State. Now he's in Dallas. It seemed like just with that move, it's a lot of moves that have happened in the NBA. It seems like the NBA now is probably the most skilled and talented from top to bottom, player-wise, than it has been in a long time.
For sure.
Because you look at these 7'5" centers
Stretching the floor.
stretching the floor.
And playing like guard, like
Yeah, Wemby did a move the other day, and he did it so perfect. But just to see somebody 7'5" do it, he did a pump fake, and when he pump fake, first of all, he's 7'5", he don't have to pump fake. Nobody's blocking him. Nobody's blocking him, and he still pump
the guy
fake.
jumped too. Like he's
And
gonna
you
block.
have to jump because his pump fake looked like he's shooting the ball. So he pump faked the guy way up here. The guy jumps like he's going to block
over.
it,
It took
and it's
off.
over with. No,
Dunked from
there's
the
nothing
free
you
throw.
can do.
Nah.
He had a put back dunk off his own miss from the 3-point line.
He could do that a lot if he wanted to.
Yeah.
He's gonna be he's gonna be the master of being around the rim, getting his own rebounds, tipping the ball.
Yeah, 100%.
But the league is in
Andrew
a
Reese.
special place. I feel like I wouldn't say good and bad, but I feel like we're lacking the defensive side of it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I would love to, because I'm a defensive type
3 and
player.
D.
I would love to see the games that will get back to being more physical. Obviously, people love scoring, but we don't need 150, 160 point game.
Do you think
It's
it's
cool to
gonna
be
be-
110,
do you think it's gonna be
120,
tough
but
to
I
do
love the
that?
defense. Say
Do you
again?
think it's going to be tough to
Go back?
because everybody talks about defense, but these guys on the offensive end are so skilled now and talented and understanding how, like Joel Embiid. How do you guard him?
Certain guys you just can't guard, man. You gotta contain them. The
How do
double,
you
triple.
contain Embiid?
You try to make him do some things, his weaknesses, and his weaknesses might be, he might not be as great as passing out of the double team or a triple team. You know what I'm saying? Like, so you could try to make other guys around you beat you. But yeah, do I think we'll ever get back to it? I hope so. I don't know if we will, but I would love to see, defense more instilled in the game and more passionate to where guys took pride in that and made the game more of a challenge.
Yeah.
Because back when you came in, there wasn't a bunch of guys averaging 20. Now there's 100 guys averaging 20. A third of the league is averaging. It's like, damn, that many people averaging 20. So I would love to see it get back to that.
Do you think this year, these past couple of years have been the most competitive? Or in recent years, as far as like these young guys?
No.
No? You don't think it's competitive?
No. I think it was most competitive before guys started joining teams
together.
Yeah. That's when the league was the most competitive. When guys didn't care to beat your teammate, they wanted to beat you.
Right.
They didn't care what you had. They'll find the role players, but superstars joining teaming up, I think it became less competitive. But it's even the last 5 years even 5 years ago, I think it was more competitive. But it's definitely changed a lot since guys started grouping together.
I think this year do you think it's a toss-up for who can win the championship?
No, I don't think it's a toss-up. I think if Boston doesn't stay healthy, but I think it's Boston's championship to lose.
No one can beat them.
No one can beat Boston?
I think there's a couple other teams that have a chance.
Who got much better?
New York.
Who got much better? New
York. I'm saying, but like, aside from New York in the East, I know Philly got better, but like,
I feel like in the West the teams are very good, but even they come out only a few teams that come out the West that could beat Boston. Yeah, but I do think OKC got better.
Yes,
Philly got better. There's a couple teams that got better, but I don't think Philly would beat Boston. I think New York has a chance to. And the West, I think coming out.
You're big on Philly, huh?
I think all teams that come out the West that can beat Boston.
Philly got Mad Max.
Mm-hmm.
He a demon.
I'm trying to think.
Who gonna stop him?
Nobody's saying the Knicks.
The Knicks, the Knicks got much better.
Now, see, I think, you got Knicks, Philly, Boston.
What's
and who else in the East? Chicago,
Milwaukee.
I think it's gonna be something to do with
Milwaukee.
I don't think Milwaukee got better. I think New York is the only real challenge for Boston in the East, I think outside of that, somebody in the West. And now, who in the West can beat
Denver
them?
Maybe, or Minnesota.
Denver lost a lot too, but I think Minnesota also lost Cat, and it's like, what are y'all doing? Like, OKC.
Why do you think they did that?
OKC got really. I like OKC. I think they got really.
You think they could do something serious?
Why would OKC? Why would not OKC?
Minnesota.
Why would Minnesota do that?
I don't know, man. You just made the Western Conference Finals, and I'm like, what the hell?
Right
like
there,
the reason you got there is because of Cat. Now you lost some perimeter defense. I mean, interior defense and perimeter shooting with him. Like obviously, some people say he was inconsistent, but it's like people were saying Rudy was the guy you should have traded, but like you got rid of Cat, kept Rudy. Cat was the reason why you got to where you got to, and people were saying Rudy's the reason why you probably didn't make the finals. But it's like, that was a good group. Y'all should have kept together.
Yeah, for another
both of them.
They really shuffled.
You know
they did get some good pieces back.
And no disrespect to Julius. I think Julius is very good, but he's not the same to Cat. That's Cat. I mean, he's stretching the floor.
Right.
And that interior defensive big that you can play Jokic, with the two bigs.
But I do like the Ant and Julius Randle energy that they bring to the game.
I'm interested to see. I don't know how well it's going to work, but I'm interested to see.
What I mean is, like, you got Julius, this tough,
hard-nosed guy,
hard-nosed player,
blue collar.
Hard,
he's a blue collar guy.
It's just how is he going to be in the flow of the game is what we have to see.
Yeah, but they got some toughness with Julius and DiVincenzo. I like the pickups.
And then with Anthony Edwards, he gonna bring out the best of Julius Randle. Even though Julius already been playing great, he just gonna bring more of that dog.
They got to find some more defensive wings to help take the load off. And
they have DiVincenzo.
Edwards.
What about shooters? Do they have enough shooters?
Because Anthony Edwards usually takes on the main. You can't be the main scorer and be the primary defender. Like, you need some guy to give him some help. You've seen what happened.
He got tired.
He's a great defender. He got tired, but you can't guard Kyrie and be the offensive load. You know what I'm saying? Carry the offensive load. That does not work. You need some people to help you. So offensively and defensively, especially defensively.
You didn't mention this team in the West now. You didn't say y'all ain't nobody saying nothing about Dallas Mavericks, man.
I said Dallas. I think Dallas kind of stayed where they were. I think people are sleeping on Memphis, man.
We ain't get off to all the teams in the West.
Let me say something about that, because Stephen A was just saying, like, Memphis, he don't see it, but People been saying Ja
Man,
Morant's
you got
back.
Ja coming back.
Listen.
You got Zach Edey.
And they
He's
would've-
7
Yeah,
foot.
Do you think they were
9.
better than they
that.
were that year? They were 2 seed and lost to the Lakers. In the,
Yeah,
They
had
would've
the
They
won.
got
injuries.
better. You think they got
Ja
better?
had the injuries. They got better. Well, they lost Steven Adams, but they replaced him with Zach Edey. You still got Jaren Jackson. You got Desmond Bain. You got Ja. You got Marcus Smart, who was injured. You got Luke Kennard, who could shoot the ball. They did lose Tyus, which I think hurt them, but they still have a lot of good pieces. You got
Memphis
Santi
got
Aldama,
some
you
dogs.
got Brandon Clark, you got all those
Memphis
guys.
gonna be
They
right
were deep,
there.
and they're still very young.
Memphis
But
gonna
they
be
also
right
got a
there,
year
yeah.
older and mature with those injuries, so they can be. They stay healthy. They're going to be a
so
top team in the
then-
West.
So then we naming all the teams in the West because you said the Lakers. We got the Lakers gonna be there.
I hope so. They'll probably be a playing team if I had to predict.
What's your thoughts on the Lakers? Because Stephen A. felt that the Lakers have more potential than Memphis this year.
I like the foundation that they have, but the West is so tough. I still think they're going to be a 6-7 seed because of how good. Let's say
The West is.
Memphis is. OKC.
Phoenix, we didn't talk about Phoenix yet.
Clips lost some people, but Phoenix is. Clips is decent. Dallas is solid. Minnesota's
West
still
gonna be
solid.
tough.
OKC.
New Orleans got better with DeJounte move.
And Zion coming back.
Tough.
They said
Yeah.
this the best.
Houston's going to be sneaky
they
good.
They said this the
Zion is
best
actually
Zion.
full
This the
shape.
best Zion.
Houston's going to be
in
sneaky
shape.
good with Ime and all the guys that they brought, the young guys.
And they
They're
got
gonna
what's the big from
be
Houston?
Sengun.
He's so good.
Sanguini.
So that's what I'm saying. Like, so it got it. Come on, y'all
West is
saying that it's
crazy.
not. It's an easy pick for the
Boston.
finals.
Ultimately, I don't think those teams could beat Boston in a 7-game series.
No, oh no, man.
7-game
We'll
series.
see. I mean, I agree with Danny. If they're
Boston
fully
healthy,
healthy and they
only
already
team
have that.
I think has the matchup is the Knicks because of
Knicks?
Cat and Porzingis.
So what about the West? You got
Like the
these. good-
Cat utilized, he kind of canceled out that Porzingis matchup. Not many people could. When you have Tatum, Brown, Drew, Derek White, and Porzingis, that's a hard. If they're healthy,
It's crazy.
now
you got.
I'm
Then
just.
they said they got Mikal, they got OG, Jalen.
This all Boston.
This
No,
is New York
it's
Knicks.
the New
They
York
got
Knicks.
Cat. They got Mitch Robinson coming off the bench. They got they got Deuce. They got the depth and the size and the mix to be able to go. That's the only team that I see that can match up with them.
I had predicted that Boston was gonna win
Last year.
the championship this year already.
Yeah, they're going it's a good prediction,
But
man.
I'm just saying, I think in the West it's a lot of great
There are
teams,
so
man.
many.
And I think it's a lot of sleepers. I think Portland gonna be
They're gonna
pretty
be decent.
decent.
It's just in sports that why it makes it so entertaining because it's unpredictable. You just never know who's gonna be healthy, and
What
it takes a
about-
lot of luck on your
Right.
side to be healthy at the right moment in time. too.
Comeback player, Ja Morant or Ben Simmons? Nah, I feel
Why
like
would
Ben,
you say that
I feel
about-
like Ben gonna
I
have
think he
his
has
year
something to
this year.
prove. I hope his body holds up. I wish the best for the man. But Ja is special. You know how special Ja is, man. But he said he came back for 7 games. We were like, this team was dead last. They might be a playoff team if he stayed
Yeah.
the rest of that year.
For
He
sure.
could have brought them to the
He
playoffs.
shouldn't be in that. Consider he already nice.
MVP conversation.
He was
He
pissed
he
about
should
that.
be in the MVP conversation for next year, not comeback player of the year.
Oh, I was about to say, what you mean, Ben Simmons?
No,
Three-time
I'm not.
All-Star,
I'm talking
man?
about Ja Morant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Ben, he got to come back this year. This is like, this is it. Like, I ain't finna bash him, or you know how everybody was saying, but this the year he got to come back and be like,
Say he fully healthy, so
yeah. Well, then has he played any preseason games?
I'm not sure.
I haven't watched. I must say, as an analyst, I haven't been doing my homework as of late. I haven't watched the preseason, so I have to get back
So-
on. I have to get on my job. I've been enjoying retirement
So
the
it's
last
like,
2-3
since
days.
you haven't,
2-3
since
days.
you retired now, like, does that like, do you feel like a weight has been, or like,
A little bit.
yeah?
I mean, at first it's like it hits you like it's really over. So it gives you some emotions. That luckily I didn't have my phone with me, so I didn't let it fully sink in. But yeah, it's a stress reliever of the pressures of having to physically do things. But then it comes, depending on who you are, what your situation is financially, there comes a different challenge of what I'm going to do next. You know what I'm saying? Fortunate enough, a lot of us have been in good positions to where we don't have to work, but we still used to doing stuff, so we want to work and find something we're passionate about. But yeah, it's definitely like a wait,
breath
a
of
relax,
fresh air,
a deep breath, let your hair down moment. Like, all right.
Yeah, I was about to retire a couple of years ago, and was
you
it last
still
year?
hooping, man. Your
Yeah,
body,
3.
you still traveling with the
3.
kids.
Yeah, last year.
Last year, it was last year. So I was about to retire last year. Like
You was retired.
Yeah, I was actually, but I didn't
didn't
say
do the papers
nothing.
yet.
Yeah.
But I was like, you know what? I'm not finna do this politics no more. I just can't do it. You know what? I just
gave
wanna,
up on it, man.
Yeah, I was like, this. I can't. My mind can't take it. I
wore
know
you
I
down.
can still play, but I'm not finna do this. So you know what? This is it. I'm gonna just spend this whole summer because I haven't. You know, usually when we are in season or training for the season, the summertime is not a time where you have off. People think summertime for us. No, summertime is train time. You train harder in the summertime than what you're doing during the season. So my time during the summer is usually devoted to training. Now my kids, they with me, but they can't come and be in the weight room
All the time,
or
yeah.
you know, all that stuff. So I
Sacrificing
had to
time with them.
sacrifice that time with them, and I was like, you know what? I'm not sacrificing that no more.
Yeah.
I'm not lifting no
To
weights.
solicit yourself to
Yeah.
get somebody to want to give you a job.
And I'm not finna sit
I'm
up
like,
here
you're
and be
not
like,
tired of soliciting yourself to
somebody
get a
say,
job, yeah.
I might give you a 10 days. So you know what? I'm gonna spend my 10 days, 20 days, the rest of these days with my kids.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, my agent called me and was like, hey, Golden State wants you to come up here and try out for the team. I'm like,
And he said, nah. He talking about, I'm retired, bro. I'm retired.
When your mind is out of it, man, it's over. There's no,
yeah.
you know, once you make that decision, like a team called me today, like, oh, we really want you. I already made my mind. When your mind is made up and you come in that space, it's hard to get out of that space to actually stay hungry and want to hoop. You know what I'm saying?
And the
Do you
story
think
was-
it's like more? Do you think it's like ego or pride? Like, what is it for players who have not? Because I know I'm in that
All the
position,
above.
and I don't want to say it's my. I don't know if it's my ego.
It's pride, bro. It's all the above.
I don't
It's all
know
the
what
above.
it is, but it's just
Because
like
you know you can do it. You can see yourself. You know you can still hoop. You know you can give to a
Yeah.
team.
That's what JaVale was saying. Yeah.
You know, and a lot of it is you want to go out on your own terms and not only prove to everybody, but prove to yourself that you can do
Yeah.
it. So the pride in you, the ego in you, you may not have to prove to nobody else, but to you, it's like, you know what, I know
Yeah.
I could. There's
can
nothing
still help.
that I have not been able to do up until this point. Everything that I said I would do, I've done it. And it ain't going to change now.
yeah.
But there comes a day where it does change. You ain't going to reach those goals at 40. You know what I'm saying?
Lord,
But you mentioned something because that time period, he was saying everyone was coming up to him. No, you still got more. He like, nope, I'm retired.
Yeah, right. So
Nope, I'm
you
retired.
got
Nope,
a
I'm
couple more
retired.
years. Nah, that's not the league saying.
But when the Warriors called, he wasn't gonna go at first, and then he was like, nah, I'm gonna go and just see what's up. When he came back and he was like, man, I ain't retiring no more, man. I could do this shit.
when you show yourself that you can do it, when you have a good workout, you're like, damn, I can still do this.
Yeah, but then I thought about it. I said, man, let me go back to Taiwan. I can play.
Yeah.
You can hoop. You still
Enjoy
love
my
it.
time.
You
I ain't gotta
Stress.
stress my body. I can go play, and then the fans that are there, they haven't got
Oh,
a
they love
chance
you
to
over there.
see me play live. They've watched me play on TV my whole career. And now the Asian fans, the fans out in Dubai, we played over there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that experience right there, it kind of gave me more life, not to just play basketball, like go back and be like, I want to go back to the NBA, but just come back and give more love and attention and everything to all the things that we had to sacrifice during our time of playing basketball. But because of my opportunity and my time over in Taiwan, it gave me some great ideas to help younger players and even players who may still have that itch,
Like
who
DeMarcus
might
said,
want to play like
Transition.
DeMarcus to
Retirement
transition out.
Okay.
I started a new league
Okay.
called the Asian Tournament. You
Okay.
know? So we have different leagues in different parts of the world.
When
so
you
we
get
have,
that itch and still want to hoop
yeah,
and
you
come
still
back,
wanna
go
hoop,
over to
you can
China.
come back, or if
I might
it's-
be open to it, man. I
Oh,
might be
shoot.
open to it. You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I retired from playing in the NBA.
Danny
but like,
Green.
if I want to get a trip and just kick it, get some love
No,
in
but
China.
I think
you
it'd
know.
be great for you to do that. You know, some
They love us over there,
Some
man.
countries we might be there for 10 days. Some
Right.
is 5 days. But this year we went to Malaysia,
fire.
Taiwan, Philippines, Macau, Hong Kong,
Yeah, that's
and a
fire.
lot of these players. Some of these players are playing in other countries for $1,500 a month, coming from the States, and they're just using this. They're trying to find ways to make it to the next level. So we developed this league to allow players to get seen and allow players to get opportunities
And
to
also
play
get
in
paid a
these
little more.
different parts
Yeah,
of the
exactly.
world. and develop a different type of fan base, because these fans, they love basketball. And when they get a chance to see players who maybe have not made it to the NBA, but they can still play, they still have the joy and passion for the game, it just really opens the players up and the fans up to a whole new side. And
That's
I think
dope, man.
that's what basketball does, and that's why we created that. So shout out to all the players.
shout out to
want
you,
to see
man.
Danny
Congrats.
Green come on.
Yeah.
Y'all want to see Danny Green?
Shout out to you, man, for creating that, man. That's dope. That's a
Thank
dope
you.
space, man,
Thank
to
you.
allow
Thank you.
guys to be able to, transition smoothly into retirement, that will still stay around the game and hoop, and also see the world. You can't ask for a better situation.
I promise you guys,
shout
it's
out to
great.
y'all.
So if you guys want to join, we have the winter tournament coming up for the Asian tournament. You can look up our website, our Instagram. It is the Asian tournament. If you want to, we have the winter
Gotta follow
leg
that.
coming up. So in a couple months, a month and a half, if you guys want to join, do not send me no direct messages saying you can hoop. Go to the right page, man. Sending me messages talking about, hey, man, I can hoop. I ain't played overseas in a long time, but I still can play. No, you got to go through the proper channels, man. We want to see all y'all thrive and succeed.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for watching. Today we had to give a shout out to Danny Green for retirement after 15 seasons
Appreciate it, man.
in the NBA.
Thank
And I know we did not give a introduction to our two co-hosts in the beginning, awareness, but we got the great Lakers All Day in the building. So
Yes, sir.
shout out
Yes,
to
sir.
Lakers All Day.
Yeah.
When y'all need to check out his name, it's not Lakers All Day, but that is his page. So I want you guys to remember, check out Lakers All Day.
Every day.
Every day. He got all the updates, all the tweets.
We keep it positive,
He even got I don't know how he does it. He's like the Shams
the Lakers.
of the Lakers all day.
Yeah, man.
And
That's
then
research.
we got Moo Real for Life awareness.
Oh, I got the
Moo Real for life.
man.
Thank you guys for watching. Thank Danny Green. Give him some love.
Yeah.
Send him the flowers. Send him hearts. Whatever
Support
you
Dwight
want.
on Dancing with the Stars. You know
And
what I'm saying? That's up
support you
next. You know
on
what I'm saying?
Dancing with the Stars. We gonna get Danny on
Oh,
the next.
man.
You know why?
He gonna be
we
doing
gonna
that
have a
college
dance
dance.
off.
Oh,
We
man.
seen Danny dancing, so we know he can dance. If y'all want to see Danny on the next Dancing with the Stars, leave a mirror ball in the comments. Peace and love, and remember, this is the greatest podcast ever, Above the Rim, with Dwight Howard, where we hear no evil, see no evil, and speak no evil. Peace and love, and we'll see y'all on the next episode.